During his visit to Scotland, former U.S. President Donald Trump spoke extensively about a new U.S. UK trade agreement and its broader implications for international commerce. Speaking ahead of a scheduled meeting with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Aberdeen, Trump said the purpose of the gathering was to refine the trade deal that had already been announced in principle during the G7 summit in June 2025. He hailed the agreement as a great deal for both countries, suggesting that while most major elements were settled, some fine-tuning remained, particularly around issues like steel tariffs, which the UK still wants reduced or eliminated. Trump noted that U.S. tariffs on British cars and aerospace components had already been significantly lowered under the deal, creating new opportunities for transatlantic commerce. Additionally, Trump revealed that he would also be meeting with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen while in Scotland to push forward a separate U.S.-EU trade deal. He estimated a 50-50 chance of reaching a final agreement with the EU before an August 1st deadline, acknowledging that about 20 contentious issues were still being negotiated. The potential U.S.-EU agreement is expected to include a 15% baseline tariff rate, slightly higher than the 10% in the UK deal, and could expand U.S. exports of beef and ethanol, an aspect that has sparked concern among British farmers. Trump used his Scottish platform not only to promote trade, but also to criticize EU immigration policies and green energy projects, such as wind farms, urging European leaders to get their act together and praising U.S. energy independence and border control measures. While the visit included rounds of golf and ceremonial stops, Trump's remarks made clear his intent to position himself as a decisive economic leader, deeply engaged in reshaping transatlantic trade partnerships and emphasizing national interest over globalism.
Young people, they just said, too much winning. Too much winning, sir, they know it. And it is a lot of winning. We had the best 6 months ever. We're now heading to Scotland. I'm meeting with the Prime Minister of UK. Some of you are going, I guess, and a lot of you aren't. Are you going? Huh? Well, you got to get moving. That's a good one. That's going to be a good one. So we have great numbers we just announced. I don't have to go over it because you've seen them, but we have great economic numbers. The deal with Japan is amazing. You give us $550 billion, and we have totally open access into Japan.
Donald Trump's visit to Scotland has drawn international attention not just for its symbolic value, but for its high-stakes political and economic significance. While staying at his Turnberry resort, Trump emphasized his commitment to securing favorable trade terms for the United States, using the scenic backdrop to send a strong message about U.S. leadership on the global stage. He called the newly drafted U.S. UK trade deal a landmark agreement that would strengthen economic ties and benefit key industries on both sides of the Atlantic. However, Trump acknowledged ongoing friction over U.S. tariffs on British steel and aluminum, suggesting that these issues would be central in his discussions with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The visit also underscored the shifting global alliances as Trump seeks to position the United States at the center of new trade blocs, especially as post-Brexit Britain looks for alternatives to European Union partnerships. Trump's Scotland visit was also marked by his talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, as he pushes for a broader U.S.-EU trade deal, a sign that, despite his past criticism of EU institutions, he sees value in renewed cooperation if it aligns with American interests. Trump's tone was confident and transactional, framing his trade efforts as a continuation of his America First agenda. At the same time, he used his platform to denounce what he called Europe's failures on border security, energy policy, and industrial strategy, pointing to America's tougher stance on immigration and its embrace of oil and gas as more effective. While critics argue Trump's policies risk isolating key allies or undermining environmental commitments, his supporters view the Scotland trip as a sign of strategic diplomacy in action, leveraging deals, meetings, and bold rhetoric to reset global economic priorities in favor of U.S. dominance.